You're watching Telecom TV's exclusive video coverage of the NGMN industry event in Frankfurt. And joining me now is Ishwar Pitapali, who is the Director of Market Development with the Open Mobile Alliance. Ishwar, thanks for talking to us on Telecom TV. What is the OMA's role in the development of 5G?
What we are doing at OMA is we actually, just to give you introduction on OMA, we develop standards for the services layer, which is the layer 7, so which is independent, sort of developing standards for the lower layers, which is part of 3GPP or NGMN or GSMA. So our function basically is the services layer. We develop specifications for logical software building blocks. So these blocks, any developer can pick and choose whatever is the application that he or she is trying to develop, use the appropriate building blocks, and develop the standard, develop the application based on those logical building blocks. That's what we do. And when people talk about 5G, in fact, NGMN is focusing on end-to-end system. That is how they are defining 5G. So once they define end-to-end system, we come into play because we are the people who are actually developing the standards or the specifications for the services layer, where we plan to address most of the vertical industries that we are working with.
There are so many different versions of what 5G should or could be, but for the OMA, what will define 5G?
I think what it should be is we do have the basic infrastructure already in place called LTE. So what we are trying to do is to include many of the vertical industries into this architecture. So we are working with automotive telematics, we are working with Healthcare Alliance, we are working with GS1, which is a mobile commerce standards body. So we are trying to be inclusive in terms of developing standards to address the needs of these vertical industries.
Do you think these large vertical market customers have been neglected in the standards process for mobile generations so far?
No, I don't think that they are being neglected, but more attention is now being paid to vertical industries because this is the right time, because the infrastructure is in place, and we have everything, all ecosystem players are in place to address the needs of the vertical industries.
You have a study that's currently underway, Services 2020, and you've released some preliminary information, I believe.
So our goal was to, just like GSMA has come up with Network 2020 vision, we also wanted to have something similar to that. We call it as Services 2020. So we are working with a marketing research firm called Strategy Analytics. We are now compiling the data, so everything is preliminary. We haven't published a paper yet. And basically what we are saying is that we are saying that there is a little bit of difference in opinion coming from operators versus the vendors. And we are saying some of the new services deployment questions are being answered slightly in a different fashion by the vendors and the operators. And what we are saying is that operators and the vendors tend to think that these services, new services, are going to be deployed earlier, sooner than later compared to operators. That's what we are seeing as one of the initial observations.
So how important will the role of developers be in 5G?
Oh, it's going to be extremely important. Let me just define two different entities or two different profiles of developers. In olden days, we used to have a developer which actually we met the needs of these developers, these kinds of developers, by providing a specification document, which usually used to be in a PDF format. And people used to read these 200, 300-page document and develop these services. Whereas the shift is changing in terms of developer profile. Today's developers they don't have that much patience to read 300 pages PDF document. So to accommodate needs of this new developer community, we are developing a thing called a developer toolkit, where this 300-page document is going to be summarized in 20 pages maybe, a short summary of the technical features of this particular service. And we are also providing the tools that new developer communities accustomed to be using, like GitHub. And we are also working with other forums and where we have the hackathons and code forward organizations. So we are mixing and working with all these organizations to make new developer needs are met and at the same time make their job easier.
Ishwar, thank you very much.